for now. Good evening. Welcome. This is another episode of TransParents. I am your host, Amber. She, her pronouns. You can find me on TikTok at Moonchild77. Co-host.
Hey there. Hey, I am Jenny. My pronouns are also she, her. You can find me on TikTok at TransLovingMama. And in addition to being a co-host here, I'm a parent liaison for the Advocate Alliance of Broken Arrow in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Woohoo! And then tonight we have two special guests, and they're both of Holistic Hippie Vibes. In fact, let me throw that up for everybody. So if you're interested and you want to check it out, this is their website. We will be referencing this throughout the night, but they both work there. This is Willow's company. And so we brought Willow and John on this evening to kind of discuss acceptance, their journeys of acceptance, why they do the work that they do, and then we're going to share like a numerous set of resources and where you can find those resources as we like finish off the show. So welcome Willow, welcome John. It's great to have you both here.
Hi, thank you for having us. We feel honored.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So Willow, I guess if you want to start us off, I guess why did you start Holistic Hippie Vibes?
So I am a master's level therapist who has also had my own share of trauma. And I graduated from Waynesburg University in Pennsylvania in 2011 with my master's degree. And from then to now, like I've always been like on my own healing journey for the last like 2 decades or more. But talk therapy only did so much. And it wasn't until I went to a trauma treatment center in 2018 2019 down here in Florida. And that's when I discovered holistic practices such as yoga nidra, crystals, Reiki, sound. Well, I don't think they did sound, but it opened up this whole world of holistic stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was there for 2 months. And I really discovered how much I didn't know, even as a therapist, about trauma until I started practicing holistically and doing the inner child work and stuff. So from there, then I added holistic practices to my own healing journey. And that was when I finally came off medicine. That's when I finally have an improved baseline. And I can now begin to regulate my nervous system on top of, changing my thoughts like cognitive behavior teaches us. So,
Right.
yeah, that the two worlds combined together, that we have a much greater chance at having a more peaceful life because we never are healed. We're always recovering. Hi, welcome in. So, but that was when we want to work on our baseline, and our baseline is always going to be up and down. But when we can get a nice steady baseline of where we're at most of the time, it was the holistic and the therapeutic that really helped me do that. So
I think in my own healing journey, it was very much the same. Like the talk therapy only got you so far with your healing. And I did find that you needed to go outside of those confines to find things what worked best for you. Like we all experience trauma and healing differently, and what helps one person grow may not help the next person. So I think having the availability of all these tools, and I went to nursing school. So through the psychology, I went looking for a minor in psychology too. So that I understood really my patients because I was going to be a midwife. And I wanted to make sure that whatever the situation was with birth, that I would be able to handle whatever the mother's needs, the family needs were in that moment. And looking at it, I felt like it addressed one avenue of healing, but it didn't feel like it addressed everything. And I do believe that the holistic begins to bring in other components that we need to heal and to move on. And I think when we focus too much on it's just psychology, it's just this, it's just that, we kind of limit ourselves. So I love the fact that you've kind of merged what your schooling, your education was, and then you took this holistic and you kind of merged the two of them so that it responds more to what your patients or your clients needs in that holistic setting. I mean, really, with nursing school, that's what we're talking about, that you wanted to encompass everyone's needs, their physical, their emotional, their social, and their spiritual.
Yes.
Because we understood that to heal, even physically from surgery or sickness, you needed to address all those. So I love what you're doing with your practice.
Thank
Love
you.
it, love it, love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe it takes the body, mind, spirit. And I'm actually, I have a dear friend and I'm hoping she's going to be joining. So, but she's a physical fitness trainer. So there's more stuff that's going to be added. We have a chef that is going to be added soon, and she's going to be able to teach you how to eat for your chakras. She also is a vegan chef, so she can teach you vegan meals as well, if that's something you would like to learn more about. So there's a lot more.
Nice.
We are just in the very beginning of our relaunch, so I'm really excited. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had told me that, like, we connected. Actually, we had a connection that had connected us back right before I had surgery in May. And so you had a lot going on. I had a lot going on. And we both were like, you know what? We can revisit this in a few months. So then when I kind of came out of my medication haze, it's like, let me reach back out to Willow. Where is she at now? So yeah, because even like as we were doing this, you were like, hey, I'm trying to get John loaded onto the website. Can we push it out a little bit and wait just a little bit longer so he's onboarded? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So instead of one guest, we had two. So it worked out. It worked out.
Yes. Yeah, we're excited to have John here.
Awesome. Now, John, I guess where do you want to talk about your acceptance journey? Where that came from? What
Um,
that looked like for you?
yeah, so 2 years ago, I was a web developer. I would not be in front of this camera. I say it all the time. I am the person that's speaking here today is not at all who I was even 2 years ago. My mother passed away. While it sounds sad, in many ways, she is with me always. And it really kicked off my healing journey. I definitely believe in the spiritual. I've had psychic readings and mediumship readings that are confirmed that my mom is with me through evidence. And there was a lot of stuff that I was doing that it was just confirmed from psychics. Your mom's hearing your thoughts. And I'm like, oh, if my mom's hearing my thoughts, she's seeing what I'm physically doing to myself. And it really got me on track. Like, yeah. And so in time, these psychics were like, oh, you're going to be an artist. Like, I was there for a career. I was like seeking career advice. And they're like, yeah, you need to open up your heart. And I'm like, no, damn it. What do I need to know for my career? This, not open my heart.
This.
Yeah. And they were like, once you open up your heart, everything will flow. And they're like, we see you being this artist. It was two confirmed psychics. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. So I'm definitely in that journey of being that artist. And in that, through painting, I discovered, wow, I really have a lot of shame and embarrassment for being gay and growing up in the 80s. And yeah, and so it's just been this healing journey. When I would sit down to paint, your mind, you get in that zone, right? It's kind of like when we're driving, you're in the car, all of a sudden start your car, but then 20 minutes later, oh wow, I'm at my destination. But for me, it was when I was painting, I would have these memories or thoughts of childhood, and it's just a lot of healing. And so I'd be journaling to my mom every day, and I can go into that. It ties in with my book. But yeah, so Willow and I have a very similar story, opposite sex parents. So for me, it was my father. Hers was her mother, not to share her story. But just the similarities are like mind-blowing. And I was telling Willow today, I'm like, I know our parents in spirit set us up. I know they did. So... yeah.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes, unfortunately, because I've lost a parent, I think we do kind of channel some things, right? When we're trying to process ourselves, like where this came from. And that includes within ourselves, like whether we accept ourselves, was that something that was passed down? Did I get that because the parent didn't approve of me? Or is that my own thinking? And so sometimes we can't process that, and unfortunately, until they're gone. And I do find art. I like music myself. Music is, I guess, one of those for me. That's my outlet as far as healing. So I definitely see how you can paint through and honestly process those emotions, process those feelings, go back into those places while you're in that. It's just like an automatic slip for you. And for me,
Yes.
sometimes music will throw me back 30 years, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm sitting in high school again. Uh, just so that, okay, that's something maybe you should address. Maybe there's something left here that you haven't finished working on. So I think that's amazing that you use art as a way to, and again, that's one of those holistic modalities that a lot of people don't necessarily associate with healing or with
Right.
growth or really with even with acceptance, like dealing with the shame and the blame. There are, I think all of us in our healing journeys deal with blame and shame. But I think if you're anyone within the LGBT community as a child with parents that make you feel shame, that make you feel guilty, that don't approve, I think that's much harder to process through. And sometimes it is easier when the parent is no longer around. It's a really hard thing to grow through. Jenni and I, we both have talked about our exes, the fathers of our sons. While they accept our children, I'm not sure exactly how far that acceptance goes with my ex-husband on my son. Like, he's okay, I get it, but then he moved to Miami, Florida, and then looked at my kid like, when are you coming to visit? Never? He's trans. Do you think he could stop in a bathroom between the edge of Florida all the way down to Miami? No, it
Mm.
wouldn't be safe. But my ex didn't think any, like, no, automatically when you come to visit, like, not thinking about that. And his next step, he's talking about moving to Tennessee. And my daughter, who's currently living with him, is kind of like, again, do you expect your son to ever come see you? Are you ever going to move somewhere that might be a modicum of safety? And it's like they just don't even think of it. And my thought as a parent is automatically, if I'm going to travel with my kid, is this safe for my kid?
Yeah.
Where is it safe? Do they have bathroom laws? Do we need to stop at public restrooms? Like, where do we need to go? Where is safe for him? And I don't think necessarily, unfortunately, that every parent does that. It's really hard. What was your experience with that, Willow?
Being in Florida and being gay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fortunate that the area that I'm in is pretty accepting of the gay community. I spend most of my time in Tampa and St. Petersburg, as well as Dunedin, and the Pinellas County and Hillsborough counties are very rainbow friendly, I would guess you could
Right.
say.
Right.
So I can't really speak, but I do know I have a lot of clients that are in more rural areas, and not so friendly areas.
Right.
I had one client move out of state that was an adult, this transgender. They relocated to be with their girlfriend. But I have children. The thing that's hardest down here in Florida working with transgender children is the school system, to be honest with you, because they are no longer allowed to use their preferred names. Even if the parents call in and say, you can use my son, I want you to use my son's name. So like it's you, Amber, please call my your son's name, right? No, the teachers and the child have to go by what is on the birth certificate. And so because of that, I've had many children outed now as transgender, which now puts a target on them because their
Right.
parents didn't know that they were transgender. And so that's I would say my biggest challenge, because most of the transgender community I work with are teenagers. Even though, like I said, I have had, adult client, but the most, like I said, because my Medicaid is mostly children, like a lot of
Right.
I have experience with adults, but even as a therapist, the bulk of my experience is with kids or
Right.
addiction.
Right.
So, I work with a lot of kids in the queer community, but I also love, though, because I also have other mothers who have cis children and are like, I have this one mom and she's like, my friend's daughter is transitioning and can you teach her about that? Because I want her to learn. And, so I now find myself teaching this 9-year-old about gender and, using the gender unicorn. And I mean, it's
Right.
amazing. So it's, I think it just depends on where you're at and who you surround yourself with. So I would guess in Miami, maybe there are pockets. I can't speak for Miami. I don't live
Right.
there,
Right.
but like,
I just knew that it was red and it was just so far in. And even my daughter just kind of looked at my ex-husband in the driveway that night as they're like getting ready to move with the U-Haul. And she's just like, Dad,
yeah,
that's like
yeah, 11
11 hours into Florida. Like, that is not safer. And my other son was just kind of looking at him like, never? We're never going? And the kind of looking at his trans brother like,
Do you get it?
are you thinking? And it wasn't to be ugly. It's just, and I guess my thing is, so the kids that you're working with, that are trans, are their parents supportive?
as I have worked with
Arrange?
I'll tell you, most of the trans kids that I work with, the parents either don't know or they know and they're not supportive. Or it's don't ask, don't tell. But I mean,
Yep.
I think I've had one kiddo that I worked with that's a parent accepted it, and I'm gonna go like this because they still like accepted it, but then privately like, I think this is just a thing. I think they're just doing this
It's a
because it's
fad. Yep. Hmm.
But I do that parent coaching. I let the parents, because I work on both ends. And I
Right.
have worked with those parents and I had one kid, heaven forbid, the hospital outed this child because they used the preferred pronouns in front of the parents instead of the birth pronouns that were assigned at birth. So that, in a sense, outed the child. So like that's, so with my notes that I do in Medicaid, I use they, them for all of my adolescents. So that way nobody can ever come in and see who my transgender clients are.
Right.
And then I don't
Great.
mistake of using the wrong pronoun with the parent because it can easily be done. Because I'm used to saying he, him, and and then if the parent
Right.
thinks it's she, her, I don't have to worry about slipping he because I'm so used to that. So
Right.
one way to protect the child, like an extra bubble of protection, I guess.
Right. And I think I would say that, I mean, that's the part that I work with is it's the same thing. It's typically the parents that I'm working with who don't accept their children and they think it's a fad. They think it's a phase, like it's a trend. It's their friends are doing it in school, so now they want to do it too. And it's like, okay, let me
That's why
sit you down. Let me sit you down and help you unpack that is your belief and that your child, even if you taught them like everything you taught them within your household, that doesn't mean that they're going to grow up believing exactly like you. Because I've had enough parents come at me that I found out not my favorite, but I think the biggest eye opener that usually I can kind of cue if they're really obstinate and they're just not wanting to see it all is just like, okay, so did you ever grow up in your house where your parents taught you something that you completely disagreed with? That when you left home, you said, I'm never doing that. Like whether it be a parenting skill that they had that you're like, I'm never treating my kid that way. I'm never talking to someone like that. Like, was there anything? And as soon as I can get them to separate that, I'm like, now, can you imagine that your child is different from you, just like you were different from your parents? And that kind of begins to kind of, oh, oh, you begin. And I don't mean that we get anywhere, but we at least can open the door to a conversation that says, just because you raise them like this does not mean that they believe exactly like you do. And that they don't have their own feelings. I mean, that's ultimately the goal is their own feelings. And Dr. Diana put up here, she is an affirmed trans woman. This is our expert that we bring on quite often. And she was offered a speaking engagement in Florida and turned them down because she was just like, nope, not putting herself in that kind of danger. And that essentially, I think, was what my kids were kind of thinking with the Florida thing, was just like they knew that's a state
Yeah.
that we follow Aaron Reed's, legislative map that just talks about, where is safe, specifically for youth and specifically for parents or trans adults, right? And we know that for youth, there's just a lot less safe spaces here in the U.S. than for the adults.
Yeah, my
And
husband,
I
like
don't like
last
that because
year,
we if we traumatize children, if we don't support children, they become adults that don't feel supported.
right? Yeah,
And
Patrick last year was
that's the
like,
goal.
"Hey, let's go on a vacation. Where's a good beach here?" And I was like, "There's not a beach in this country that I would go to." I mean, frankly, it's either yucky and
Come
it's not
down
really
with
the
me.
kind of beach I want to go to. But I'm
Come with
not.
I'll personally take you to the beach and we'll go together. I know where to go.
But like for me though, it's like as a family, like I'm not taking my son in that state. I'm not taking my son there.
Yeah.
I just, he can still kind of pass one way or the other. We're still kind of in that like limbo, but predominantly everyone, strangers and all, are identifying him as him. So that's starting to shift. It's starting to
That's kind of
that
that's where my
that
son
kind of
is he.
that little place has really, he could probably still get away with going into a women's bathroom, but we're starting to get a little mustache now. Like things are just changing, and so I just no, I'm not gonna do it. And they do seem really really shocked whenever you say stuff like that, or I have family that live in the Carolinas, and it's, oh well, what if we went and see them? And no, I'm not gonna do that. You go see them.
Mm-mm.
Like I'll FaceTime, tell them it's
Right,
me, but
right.
no, why would I
Yeah.
do
So
that?
Dr.
So
Diana
no.
put up here that her transition, she took her evolution, that's what she calls it, her life's evolution. And that happened in 1990, 34 years ago. So she's almost at 35 years. And she is, yeah, like that kind of that experience. I get where she's coming from as far as, and like Jenny, like not wanting to go to those places. And like my kid, like automatically being, you know what? Like, I mean, you could move to any other state, but Florida? Really? And of course now it's hurricane country down there. So my kids are definitely like, nope, nope,
Bless
nope. Because we
y'all.
moved inland in North Carolina because of hurricanes when they were like babies. So Hurricane Floyd pushed me inland 2 hours. I was from the intercoast. And so it was like, nope, we're not. I don't want to rebuild a couple of times a year. If the hurricanes decide to hit the
Yeah.
beach, no, let's not. Let's go inland. So
But
I
I will personally
definitely,
take you up on a beach offer, Willow. I will come go to the beach with you.
Well, here's the thing though. I
I love
know
a beach.
the safe space is for your son. So, like I know where the gay community is and I know
mhm.
some would be safe. So, and that's why I said, like, be careful to blanket all of Florida because it's not as bad as some people who are
Sure.
down here.
I think it's more Jesse.
Us.
Jesse's still in school, right, Jenny?
Yeah, he is. He's
Yeah.
junior in college.
Yeah,
Is he
and
junior now? I was gonna say because mine's 20, almost 27, and so when he looks at Florida and really anywhere, he's looking, okay, if I decide to go move here for a job,
Yeah.
how is that gonna like? Is it gonna be easier or harder for me to find work? Is it gonna be easier or harder for me to find a home? Insurance access, all these things, and so when he looks at it, Florida is a most
Right.
definite no. Like,
Yeah.
because it just would be easier to live in a state that was more, and I'm not saying North Carolina is because he has no intention of staying here. He's either Northeast or West Coast, like automatic.
Yeah, definitely. You want to go where your community is. And I think that's what made it easier for me to come out because where I was raised
Right.
just outside of Pittsburgh in a little small, like Beaver County. I graduated with 100 and like students.
Woo!
And so, and it wasn't accepted to be gay there. There weren't that many gay people there. And then when I finally came down to Florida, it was like I actually felt more comfortable to be able to come
Right.
out and to be, my true authentic self. Or actually start letting people in. I like to say, that, like we don't come out of the closet, we let people in.
Right.
And that's a process that we go through for the rest of our life.
And well, I think it's learning who you're safe with and who you're not,
Mhm.
who you want in your space and who you don't. I think my son was very careful on who he told his story to very early on, even friends. Like I think some of the family we definitely knew years in advance. And part of it was like when he came out and started testosterone about that time we went into COVID. And so everybody was going into closed down and nobody was making contact anyway. And he had friends who were off in college. He came home from college in his first year because he realized this about himself. And it was beginning to have a really mental impact on the fact that he lived in a female dorm that he was in a female bathroom, washroom, whatever you want to call it, taking showers, open showers. All of these things were really beginning to like impact him. And he kind of came out to me and was like, look, I've realized this and I'm okay. But if I stay here, I don't think emotionally and mentally I'm going to be okay because I'm living a lie. Every time I look in the mirror, this is a lie. This is not who I am. That name is not who I am. Those pronouns are not who I am. So I brought him home. And so he kind of dealt with those things internally, if you will, and within our family, and just within our family for a year or two before he started testosterone. And then after like 2 years on it, he finally went to his group chat of like all of his friends from school. We're like, okay, so I got some news. I know y'all are in college and y'all are making changes in the world and doing all your things, and I'm still at home, but this is what's going on in my world. And they all kind of came back, yeah, we figured that, or you were just really butch, one or the other. And just rolled on, and he was kind of like, oh, okay. I guess that wasn't news. Right? Like he was like, I guess that wasn't really news.
I'm sorry, I laughed because one of my friends says, the first time I met you, I thought you were gay. And then you said something about a boyfriend or a husband. I was like, or an ex-husband. And I was like, oh, okay. And she wasn't the only one to say that.
I wanted to talk about, because you brought that up about comfort, or just in my book where I talk about how it was with my family. So my husband and I have been together 20 years. We're both vegetarians. They cook us vegetarian meals during the holidays. And at the same time, in the same breath, they tear down the gay community. There goes my camera. I love that for me.
Listen, story of my life. My dogs are literally starting to, basically make bark to each other and bark. So you're going to hear all sorts of nonsense back here too.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So
there you go. We are here on the TransParents show. Anything's up for grabs.
Yeah. So, but in the same breath, so yeah, it's like, here's your vegetarian meal. We love and accept you with open arms. Hey, did you hear about this thing that's going on with the gay community? Hey, did you hear about this with the trans? What an abomination, this and that. And I'm like, do you not understand that I'm part of this community? And for the longest time, I didn't have a voice, because they would say at the same breath also, oh, everybody's so sensitive. Everybody's so woke. And so I couldn't speak because I was that sensitive person, because if I spoke up, then they would tear me down because I was sensitive. And so I finally had a talk with them.
I think I need your book.
Yeah. I finally had a talk with them. This is how I feel. This is what's going on. This is the stuff that I was doing to myself. And I wanted to like give them a chance. Let's rebuild a relationship. And it was like,
I was going to say, you were probably carrying shame and blame from them. Not how you actually felt, but you were carrying their shame and blame.
Yes, I was carrying it from my father, from my two older siblings. And so it completely pushed me away. Completely pushed me away. And the reason why my book is Hi Mom, I Love You, it's because I've been journaling with her every day for the past 2 years. Hi Mom, I Love You. And it's been this whole healing journey for me. And it's like, I get emotional because but she's always here, but it's been this huge transformation where it's like, John has his voice now. Let's not swear. I don't care that I'm this sensitive person anymore. It's okay that I'm sensitive. I used to be really sensitive as a kid. I wore my heart on my sleeves, and because of these people, my family that are supposed to be there for you, I closed my heart. I completely closed my heart. And when my mom passed away, it just tore wide open, through a lot of healing, mind you. But now
it gave you permission. It gave you permission to feel like you could speak again.
This is who I am. I've given, not to say I gave them a chance, but I kind of did. Like, hey, this is the stuff I was doing. It was last year. Maybe make amends. Nothing's changed. Yeah, they don't talk about politics anymore, which is good, but I don't have a relationship. And it's like, you all don't know, there's nothing here. I've never had a relationship with you, and I've given you a chance, and we're done. I love you.
Wow.
And it's just gently closing the door, because I'm sick of feeling the shame, and I'm sick of feeling that raw emotion from them. So, thanks so much, Jacqueline. Don't make
I wanted
me
you to
cry.
see that. I wanted you to
like,
see that.
Yeah,
like I
thank
was
you.
just having this experience about exactly what we were talking about this morning, and I'm super sensitive, but I have just felt so closed off for quite a while. I got sober about 8 years ago, and I thought that somehow that was going to, that was going to bring me back to this person I remembered being forever ago when I did wear my heart on my sleeve. And I was just, I'm just a sensitive person. And it didn't really happen. I found that I had done a very good job of creating that very hard shell. And in sobriety, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep that, and I'm just not going to drink, and I'm going to do all these right things and, live that. But I was thinking to myself this morning of how often I avoid those conversations or those people or whatever, because I don't want to be perceived as sensitive. I don't want to be, as soon as you start to say something, they start to go, oh God, well, you're just a bleeding heart. And oh God, you're just woke. And oh God, you're just that. And even though I would never think those are negative traits in someone else, I truly don't. I see them as negative traits in myself. I see them as, then I'm not strong enough. They're going to perceive me this way. That shuts the whole conversation down. My credibility's gone because of how they perceive me. Instead of knowing that, hey, I know who I am. That doesn't break my credibility. If it does to them, that's who they are. That's not about who I am. But I was really just thinking about this morning. Amber knows I've been kind of going through it for a while now. And that was just so powerful to me to hear. And I'd love to read your book.
And that's exactly where I was, like, and again, we're open, the holistic hippie vibes here, right? So we're into the woo, but I had like a couple psychic readings, and it was for career advice. And the psychic was like, I'm like, hey, I need a new career. Web development isn't for me anymore. And she's like, well, you need to open up your heart. And I'm like, no, so you're not hearing me.
No,
I need
listen.
career advice. I don't care about my damn heart.
I'm talking to paycheck, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, once you open up your heart, she's like, all this creativity will flow. Everything will open. And yeah, that's awesome.
Ooh. This is a
so
wild
yeah,
one
so here
tonight
we
for
are.
me, Amber.
Well, I mean, you gotta look. I think part of it comes from we aren't, and I think what your psychic was trying to tell you, John, is if we're cutting out parts of ourselves, if we're not showing up as truly who we are, 100% of who we are, it gets discombobulated. The flow is choked. You're not able to do the work that you wanted to do because you've limited parts of yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I think, unfortunately, like with your parents, like opening this door gave you permission to finally let all those things out and to say, you know what? I'm not going to worry about what you thought or what you said. I'm just going to do what's right for me and what feels best for me. And I've had lots of codependent relationships in my life, nearly every single one of them. And so I needed everybody else's approval. And for about the last 2 years or so, I've been on a journey to say, you know what? I don't need anybody. And honestly, over the last year, I've gotten to where I absolutely don't need anybody. I don't need anybody to fill my cup. I don't need anybody to tell me my self-worth. I don't need anybody to show me my value or who I am, because I know all of it. I've already filled it. In fact, I don't go to places looking for my validation, looking for my belonging anymore, because I know I'm validated. And in fact, I know I belong everywhere I go. And if I don't, I'll leave the space immediately because I can tell this isn't right for me. I don't need to be here. But I think sometimes because we get so caught up in, does this person approve of me? Does this person approve of me? Is this group, like within healthcare, if I come out and say a certain thing, is this particular avenue going to go, this particular field going to go, oh no, she's crazy sauce. I'm not listening to any of that. And for a long time, I worried about what everybody else was going to think. And yeah, for the last year, I've said, you know what? I'm just done. If you don't like what I say, you'll move on. And if you do like what I say, you'll return. And you do what's best for you.
The biggest thing for me, the biggest thing that really helped me on my healing journey was, or however it came about, the only person that you need approval from is yourself. And
Yep.
that changed my life. And it's something we're continually healing, but it's a constant reminder. It's no more, hey, I need my dad's approval. Hey, I need so-and-so's approval. No, it comes from me, because what I learned is you will always, forever and always be trying to get somebody's approval. You may get approval from Jim Bob across the street, but you may piss off Sally Sue down the other road
In the
because she
process.
doesn't like it.
Right.
And so you're the only one that you need the approval from, and it has to come within.
But that in itself, John, is difficult.
Oh, yes.
I have only started on my therapy journey. I really did think that getting sober was just going to fix all my problems. And you know what? It fixed most of them, but it did not fix them all. So I did start in therapy. And after just, you're kind of feeling each other out at the first couple times. And about the second or third time, she said, I'm going to send you a self-esteem workbook. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't make sense.
You're like, I'm good.
Like, I don't have low self-esteem. And she said, okay, well, I'm just going to send it to you. Why don't you read it and tell me what you think after you read like the intro and volume 1. And I started reading it, and I was very closed off to even the thought that I had low self-esteem. I said, this is absolutely the dumbest thing. And by the time I got to the end of like the first thing, whenever I made some little notes, and my next session with her, I said, I don't think it can be self-esteem when I have all the receipts. Like, I can show you that I have very good reason for thinking these things about myself. I mean, it can't be like esteem if it's true. And that's when it hit me that, oh my God, I have really low self-esteem. So saying like, all I need is my approval, that almost sounds more impossible than getting somebody else. I'm good at getting other people's approval. I know what to do to get somebody else's approval, but mine? No. I already know everything about me. I know the truth. No matter what I can tell anybody, like, I know who I am. And holy smokes, like, that's a scary, scary thought of trying to go into that. Oh,
yeah. But I know too, through journaling, it helped me. And everybody's different. Everybody's totally different. For me, journaling, and I learned the technique through journaling, through the artist way, to become the artist that the psychics were telling me about. I'm part of that. If you're not familiar, journal 3 pages a day, and just to dump it out. And I'm still journaling it's been 2 years now, but I've discovered myself again. It's like, it's been a tremendous thing. And it's in the book, she talks about, you can write 3 pages. This is stupid. This is stupid. This is stupid. She's like, just write 3 pages. And it was just in that I learned who I am, because I would always be that person where someone would be like, hey, what do you want to do? I don't care. What do you want to do? I don't give a I don't care at all. Yeah, exactly. But I've learned to find my voice again. So, yeah.
I think it's hard when you're not. I came from a household where women didn't speak. I was raised in the South. Again, girls don't speak. You speak when you're spoken to. You don't have an opinion. You keep your mouth shut. You keep your head down. And so learning to speak was like breaking all these family codes, community codes, codes of the South. Like, there were so many things that I was breaking. It's like, you're wrong to do this. You're wrong to do that. You're wrong to do that. Until I got up one day and said, why do I feel wrong? I don't feel wrong. Y'all say I feel wrong, but I don't feel wrong. Why?
And you have the voice.
Why? Yeah, but my thing was like, why am I listening to someone else's voice and not my own? And I think I had somebody who, she was talking about, what is the one thing people tell you to stop doing over and over and over? And it was actually magical for me, that conversation at like 3 a.m. But she was like, Adam Bally, she was like, what do people tell you to stop doing? And as we're sitting there, she's discussing her own journey and how people had told her to keep her opinion to herself, to keep her mouth closed, to be silent, to not talk up, to not speak out. And she was like, and what I finally realized is that the one thing that they were intimidated by was my voice. And the more I thought about it, I was like, how many times have I been told to shut up and be quiet? And that's when I realized that I had allowed other people to silence me. And once I said, you know what, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Oh, tape came off, and y'all ain't been able to shut me up since. You can
Love
ask
it.
anybody that comes to my rooms. We never finish on time. We never finish in an hour, ever, 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 because I like to run my mouth. But once I opened it up, it was like, I'm not. And when I get around people now, like even if it's work professional, if they start to like push back and close me down, like, no, it's like, oh, this stuff, we don't align. We don't align. It's as easy as that. We don't align. Okay. Because I'm all open to people having different opinions. It's when
Yes.
you say what I said is wrong. We need to back up a little bit, because I agree that we could disagree, but what I feel is what I feel. What you feel is what you feel, and I have
Yeah.
no right to say what you feel is wrong. It's kind of what I tell the parents when we're talking about trans kids. You may feel that way, but that doesn't mean your child feels that way. And
Right.
actually, if you've come to me, it's probably because your child and you aren't agreeing, to be
Just
perfectly
saying.
honest. I'm
Yeah.
like, just saying, like, we're here for your kids. Let's support, because like Jenni and I talked about it. If you support the kids, then we don't have traumatized children becoming traumatized adults. And
Mhm.
I grew up in a family that didn't have tools. So I grew up as an adult without the tools. And I tried to develop as much as I could for my children, because I knew that I didn't, my mother and my father didn't have the tools they needed when they had me. And so I tried to develop as much as I could, but still only until probably the last 8 to 10 years, and now they're all adults, am I really figuring those things out. So like I gave them some tools, and now I'm trying to lead by example. So maybe they'll just osmosisly pick it up and go, oh, well, that seems to be working for mom, so let me try that. Because at this point in their 20s, nobody hears mom anymore. It's like, whatever. Mom, we know better than you. Like, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at this point. Is like my 26, almost 27-year-old and almost 25-year-old both go look at me like, yeah, no, sorry, mom, and walk away. I'm like, okay, whatever. When y'all come back around to it, let me know when you're ready to talk. But at the same time, like that again is letting them. That's their opinion. That's their belief system, and I get it. Like we aren't receptive to hear what we want to hear until we're ready to hear it. And unfortunately, that's what's going on with a lot of the youth that I work with, is that their parents just aren't ready to hear that. And they probably grew up in households that were the exact same way, and that their parents didn't listen to them either. And so there's this whole generational thing that you're trying to get them to become self-aware and see, so that hopefully they can remedy the situation of the divisiveness in the relationship they have with their own kid. Because I don't want any child to feel like they're unsupported. And
this
Jenni
is
and I, both have parents like our children. They know they have one parent who is, and they hope the other one does. And I don't want kids growing up in that environment. I want kids to grow up in an environment where, yes, mom and dad love me and they accept me as who I am 100%. Doesn't matter if I'm a unicorn, if I'm a Tasmanian devil, if I'm a lizard. They love me, period. They accept me as who I am. And I think we get caught up in some of this stuff a little too much, and we should just kind of listen to our children. If anybody's the expert of what's going on inside of them, it's them, not us.
And this is where I'm so proud of all of us four, especially, and those that are watching too. We have been on this healing journey to break this cycle, no matter where we are on the journey. It doesn't matter if you're just starting or if you're 2 or 5 years in. We're breaking this cycle of crap and nonsense. And it's huge. So pat on the backs for us all. Love you all. Yes.
All right. So let me pull up. I'm going to pull up. So we've been talking about Holistic Hippie Vibes. This is a look at their website. Let me flip over that page so I can operate it here.
What a
and so
beautiful
when you,
site, Willow.
right? It is. I
Thank
love it. I love
you.
the butterflies. I love the writing of it. And honestly, the whole little, it's not even well, I guess it's a graphic of like the little yoga pose. Like I love that.
Thank you,
But
because
you
I
can come
created
in.
everything. So thank you. That means a lot to me.
Woohoo!
I
I
did all
figured
the
you did.
website and everything, the logo. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so when you go under Meet Our Clinicians, y'all can go in and find, and this is obviously Willow. These are some of the people that are also involved with Holistic Hippie Vibes. Damasha is now she works with you. I'm guessing within the education and in the mental health aspects.
So she is a mental health practitioner. She's master's level. She is also does spiritual guidance and sound healing. So she does a lot of
Okay.
similar to what I did. She does the mental health, and so she is my lead clinician. So she is available for. She would be like one of my crisis management too. If one of my
Okay.
clinicians under us have like a client that is, one having thoughts that aren't very healthy, we would be the ones that you
Right.
call.
Okay. Okay. And then Sarah Sims, what does she do?
She is, you talked about music. She is a life coach and a peer specialist, but she's also a singer songwriter. So you can get life coaching with her, and then you can also turn in your, all of that stuff that we were talking about into a song. So she
Right.
can help you use your journaling and turn that into songwriting. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that's Sarah, and then we got Robert, and I'm gonna click on Robert so that y'all can see. This is what I meant.
John Robert.
When you
Yeah.
go, yeah, when you go under John's here, you can see that down here below he has a link. This will take you directly to his book on Amazon. So if y'all are interested in finding his book, How Mom I Love You From Shame to Pride, My Journey of Self-Acceptance, you can find that through their website. You just go through his actual clinician intro, if you will. And that is where you would find that. And then honestly, like y'all have tons, tons. Like if y'all see here, like when you go under to schedule something with them, there are many, many services. I'm gonna let her kind of like Willow and John kind of discuss some of their services that they offer before we actually move to the actual virtual group that
Yeah.
we wanted to share as well.
Of course. So right now, that first one that you're seeing there on the left is our free 30-minute sessions that we're offering to anybody that has been affected by the hurricanes this season. Those are free, so I just want to put that out there. And then the next to that is our 30-minute consultation call or discovery call, if you will. And you can schedule that with any of us as long as it's your first time. So that it's 15 minutes, and that way you can sit down and we can have an opportunity to let you know the services that we individually offer and how we could support you. And then you'll see the virtual sessions. I do offer them in 15-minute segments. It's pretty much $1 a minute for our virtual sessions.
Okay.
So you can book 15 minutes. Like maybe you just want a quick spiritual reading, so you book just 15 minutes, right? Or John
I
did a
like
Reiki
I
session.
like the way that you broke these down, that you had like depending on how much, because I'm a talker, so like I would know that I need something long. But I know
Yeah,
some
and
people know that they have like a very small, they need to kind of purge this out,
yeah,
get it out, and move on with their day. So I
yeah, and
love
it
that you have it
depends.
segmented.
Yeah, it depends on what they're wanting. Most of the 15 minutes will probably be like a short spiritual reading, like where we're using our cards or our intuition and kind of giving spiritual guidance. Most of the sessions booked are 45 or 60-minute sessions, but somebody might just want a short sound bath or something, so they might book 30 minutes. So I have a teenager that I work with, an hour's a little bit too much, so she does the 45 minutes. Yeah. And
That's
then
awesome.
we have the singing songwriting sessions that I was telling you about with Sarah. And then also we do have community-based sessions. I do those and Damasha do those. I don't think John and Sarah are offering that at this time. But
Okay.
again, you could, if you're local to that particular clinician, you can just talk to them individually and set that up.
That's awesome. Because I was
Yeah.
gonna say, not everybody, because I know John's not in Florida.
No.
Everybody with your group is John the only one that's not in Florida?
No, so
Okay.
Sarah's in Nashville, and then my chef that's supposed to be joining us, she'll be in Colorado, and then everybody else is in Florida.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool though, because you have experiences from each different state. So again, depending on what
Yeah.
they're looking for, if they're local, that
Yeah.
it's not
And then
just Florida.
yeah, and we have Jackie, who was in the comments earlier. She is one of our life enrichment guides, and
Okay.
so she does our hobby groups, and she's going to be doing the plant group. Jackie, right there, there she
Okay.
is.
Okay.
She's going to be doing our first plant group on Saturday coming up this week at noon Eastern Standard Time, and she's
Okay.
teaching everybody how to bring their plants in for the winter. Yeah.
That's
And it doesn't
awesome.
matter where you're
My
at because she knows
listen,
all the
what
different
it can she
climates.
help somebody whose plants always live inside and are trying to mine are basically uprooting and trying to run from me because that's
Yeah.
how violently I seem to be trying to destroy them. And
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Join her
Not that
classes.
bad.
They're every other Saturday. She'll tell you all about plant care. So that's the beauty too, because most of the
Very
things, and as
cool.
you can probably attest to, whenever you get sober or you start this like letting go of old patterns, it's like, what do I do now? Like, I don't know what I'm gonna like. I used to drink
Yeah.
every night, like, what do I
Yeah.
do with my time? So now you can start to, I'm going to slowly be adding all of these life enrichment classes where, like, starting with Jackie, you can learn how to care for plants. But, we might not be able to afford to take art lessons and music lessons and plant classes and all these different places, where here it's just a one-stop shop. You
That's
can
very
try
cool.
different activities, get therapy, and get your spiritual healing and everything all in one place.
Right. I mean, I find that I do a lot of gardening just for
Aw.
grounding work. Like that's where I get still. I find my
Mhm.
stillness, my peace is when I'm working outside because I got my hands in the
Yeah.
dirt. So
Yeah.
like I definitely the plant care, like I get, and everybody gets something from somewhere else. Again, like whether it be sound bowls, whether it be journaling, whether it be yoga, like different people find what they
Yeah.
need. And so I do
Yeah.
like the fact that y'all offer like a wide variety.
Thank you. That's the
I'm gonna
plan.
say, let's see. So that's mostly the sessions, and what we really I
Yeah, and
wanted
then
to
the
point
ice
out,
baths and the sound,
yeah,
the house cleansings and stuff, you have to be more local. So,
right. I was gonna say that one sounds like definitely a local. Let's see, and I
So
believe
I have a
it's.
serious question.
yeah.
Like, I'm
Go
being
ahead.
100% genuine. I am very hostile still towards anything spiritual. I'm very hostile toward anything that is supernatural. I hear about it and I immediately bristle, and that is something that I would like to break. I don't like that feeling. It's not where I want to be. So, is that something that someone there could work with me on?
Definitely.
Understanding that I'm kind of coming in a little bit hostile.
Yes, definitely. Book a free consultation with each of us and then see who you resonate
Cool.
with. That's why we
Cool.
do those, because, like I was saying, like in one of my videos I just put out, you might want to sound bath with me and Reiki with John, and then, you might want to mindset your mind with Damasha, and then do the, so and like Sarah does the music. We all have so many different things. So just, we're not going to be like upset if you work with, more than just the individual you
One of
originally
you.
started with. Yeah. Yeah. Like that, we're a tribe. I believe in the whole it takes a village. And it doesn't only take a village to raise our children, but it also takes a village to support each other. We're herd animals, we're pack animals for the most part. And so I just think the more support we can get, and the more variety, because we're all individuals like snowflakes.
We are, and not in like the way people want to claim that we're snowflakes.
Correct.
So let me pull this one up because this was like one of the newest things that you had added, right, Willow?
Yes, yes, that's one of our new
Okay.
groups. Yes.
Because I knew you wanted to speak with us, but this is a virtual, and I love this because again, if you're isolated, depending on where you're at, if you don't know local groups or you don't even feel safe, this is a way that you can access a safe place virtually with people who are just like you, and you don't have to worry about that. And again, and the fact that you offer it for $5, like that is, you wouldn't find a therapist that would offer it for that cheap. And for again, young people who are looking serious resources when they have very, very, very few resources, I thought this was a beautiful idea. So I'll let you explain a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the work that I do through my corporate job, for, oh my goodness, it'll be 3 years in April, so it's about 2.5 years. The company I work for, they are very gender affirming, and I do get monthly Pride training through that company. So I am trained in the Pride community. So as a queer person myself, I found that it's very difficult to find support groups and to find, outside of PFLAG anyway. PFLAG is great, don't get me wrong, but I wanted a support group that is just for the queer community. Our allies are great and we love you all, but, I wanted a space where it's just us that, really get what's going on, what it's like to come out, what it's like to, tell your friends or your family or your coworkers, that you're in the queer community and what that looks like, and to be able to support each other. So it is for adults 18 and up at this time. It is an adult group. I may start a teen group down in the future. But you know, it is definitely a safe place where we can talk about, and it's intuitive. So it's whatever the group wants to discuss is what we'll discuss that week.
That's awesome. Now, is that like a, because I know you've got the time here. Is it like a set 30 minutes? Well, actually, I think you have an hour above.
An hour.
So is that
Yep.
about an hour is how long you'll run? Okay.
Yeah,
Because I do have quite a few trans people that come in within this, you know, who watch this as well. And so I wanted to offer that so that, again, if someone needs an additional resource, they have a
Yes.
place to go.
Yay.
And I did. Again, I loved this idea that you created a space just for your group. Because again, like allies are great. Don't get me wrong. We need plenty of allies. But at the
Yes.
same time, I can definitely understand, and just looking at my own son, where, yeah, mom, please don't come in here. Perfectly okay with that. Have your space, son. I get it. I totally get it. So, like, I
Well,
do
yeah,
get.
like not every space is for a person. Like I don't belong in every single space. Just like you know, there are like a lot of just women groups, and it's no hate toward men, but it's like that's just a space where women can just be women with each other.
Yes.
You don't have to worry, you know. So
Yes.
I think that's always fine to be. I love
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. It's been one of my babies that I've been trying to plan for quite some time. So I'm
Okay.
really
So now,
excited for it.
let me go back to this just because we're getting low on time and I don't want to mess it up. So then underneath others, I think it's under, no, it's not under others. Sorry. More. I'll find it. So if you go
The
under more
shops.
and the vibe shops, you can find some of, let's come
Yeah,
up.
go under the vibe shop. Yep.
Lots of different products, but specifically some of the ones that Willow wanted to bring up is she has a variety of journals, self-love, pride, transgender journal, cocooning notes journals, but things that if you need somewhere for more resources, this is yet another place. And she's showing again like examples of this of her work. But these are other places that you can, and she's got like mugs and apparel that will be coming that are supportive of the community too. So again, if there's stuff that you're looking for, this is where you would find Willow's things. Like I said, John's book is actually, you need to go underneath his bio and you'll find the link in his bio for it. But all the rest of it you can find on their actual website.
Yeah, and
But I
John's
thought,
book
yeah,
will be added to the website
will it?
very soon as well.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome,
I'm
awesome,
just waiting
cool.
to purchase it. So
I hear you. I hear you. All right. Is there anything else you wanted me to show on here while we're on here, Willow, or you think that's about it?
Well, I'm also doing morning meditations every morning. Right now, I have it set for 6 a.m. I'm trying to figure out the best time to do that. And
Okay.
those are only $5. You just have to book at least by 7 o'clock. I think it is Eastern Standard Time the night before.
Okay, I gotcha.
And that's, you know, again, it's intuitive. It's a sound bath and guided meditation. So.
Okay, that's the morning
Are
meditation.
your times all going to be all your times are going to be Eastern Time, correct?
Eastern Standard
That
Time.
makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good thing you brought that up, Jenny, or my brain would have
Because
yeeted on that
listen,
one.
your girl would love to pop in, but 5 a.m. Nope,
Yeah,
I'm still
so like
having
I
a
said, I'm
snooze.
trying to decide a time. I switched it to 6 a.m. because I was babysitting, but I'm not babysitting now. So I think I might. What do you think? What time would be good for you?
You know, I don't know. I also think, though, hearing that come out of my mouth, I think about the efforts that I need to put into some things sometimes, you know, whenever you hear about people, because I remember, again, in my sobriety journey, my sponsor had me call her at 6:30 every single morning for the first year. And I just remember thinking, like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And she made sure, she was like, I don't want you calling me making a cup of coffee. You need to pee. You need to like have a cup of coffee. You need to have already done your gratitude list. And I would just begrudgingly. But there was something about that willingness to do it, that it was like the effort I was putting into my own recovery.
Yeah.
And so I kind of now I think, well, Jenny, what if 5 a.m.? What if the effort of 5 a.m. into your own healing changed your life? What if you did that?
Yeah,
I
so
did a boot
did
camp
get
at
a pull up.
5:15. I did a boot camp at 5:15 that it took
No.
me, I had to get up. My
Absolutely not.
alarm, I left the house at 4:40 to get to the boot camp.
Stop it.
And it was like a 45-minute boot camp because a friend of mine was like, why don't you just go to the gym like a normal person? I was like, because
Absolutely.
I don't think. I literally would get dressed, show up, and she was like one of these boot camp instructors that we did like 15 seconds between our exercises. So like literally like from the time you rolled in to the time you rolled out, do this, do this, do that. I didn't have to think. I just
Yes.
did. And it was so early in the morning that it was just like, yes, ma'am, push-ups, yes, ma'am, jumping jacks, yes, ma'am, lunges, like whatever we had to do, I did them because it was like, God, just to get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. Just get the 45 minutes over with. But it
So there
was
was
the best thing. I loved it. Like at the end, I loved it. I loved getting up at that time of morning. I loved that that was the effort I was putting into me. I found so much more from that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like if anybody knows me, I'm not usually up this for like the last 2 years before noon. So for me to be at a boot camp at 5:15, that was magic back then. My health was
Yeah.
in a
no
lot different place, but like I actually could work out back then.
there was no talking that early either. Were you just like going home?
Not really. Like she played very upbeat
Grunting.
music. Like she had
Yeah.
very upbeat music, and so like we had enough that like we had boot camp buddies. Here
Yeah.
went Willow. I could like do a boot camp buddy and look over and be like, how many more? And she's like, just keep doing it. And so we'd keep
Yeah.
doing it. Or like, be on the wall together with wall planks and be like, I can't take much more. And she's like, just hold it out. And like that was like that was all the talking you did. And then at the end
That's
it'd
where
be
I
like,
draw the line.
I'm going home.
Oh,
I'm gonna go eat a protein shake and I'm gonna
Absolutely.
pass out for a nap in the fetal position. Like, see
Yeah.
you in 2 days
Yeah, I'm
when I
trying
can
to
feel
set
my
it
legs
at a
again.
time that's early enough for people to do before they go to work, but yet,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it's that balance. I'm trying to, so I did put a poll up on my Facebook page to see, so we'll see. But yeah, so Jenny, you'd probably love my Recovery Beans coffee. It's all 12-step themed.
Oh, love.
Yeah, it's a local company that I am partnered here with in Tampa. It's brand new and they're in recovery themselves and met in long-term sobriety. So part of the proceeds goes to fund addiction recovery groups and education. Yeah.
That's
Love.
awesome. That's
I'm
awesome.
kind of a bad 12 stepper, because I did do the traditional group that is associated with the 12 steps, and I broke so many rules and decided that this just isn't right for me. So I left for a while, and then
It's
finally
not for everybody.
I came to a place where I could say, you know what, I can use these and not do everything exactly the way somebody else does
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is for everyone, and I can make it my own. And so once I was able to do that, it's a lot. Recovery is something that people just don't really appreciate for the freaking work it is. You think your work
Yeah.
is done, it's never done.
Yeah. And I've got a lot of background in addiction as well, because like I said, I've always worked either primarily with kids or addiction. The last 2 years, almost 3 years, I've done outpatient with adults too. But so I'm actually thinking about soon there'll be an addiction recovery group coming.
Oh, I see, and I'd love to get involved in something like that. I think that would be more of a passion for me, but I already have my master's in education administration, and I'm at a place where I am not going back to school. Like I am not getting anywhere.
We're done.
I'm 120K in debt. I'm done.
I get it. That's why I won't get my license in Florida, because they want me to take classes in Florida and then go through my internship, and then B, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the holistic stuff that I do if I'm billing insurance companies.
Oh, there you go.
And if I have a license, I
Mhm.
could lose my license if something happens and I'm doing like an ice bath with somebody or
Right.
breath work with somebody.
Right.
So it's just, I won't do it. I don't want
It's
an
not worth
insurance.
it.
Yeah, I don't want an insurance company telling me how to do my job. I have that enough at my day job. I don't want it in my business
Yeah.
because the way I look at it, like I myself have company insurance, right? And when I go to see a therapist, I have a deductible and I have a copay. So by the time I even meet my deductible, if I see that therapist once or twice a month, I'm probably 9 months into my treatment. If I'm physically healthy, right? Like me, I'm a physically healthy person. So for me to get into therapy, I'm paying $150 every however often until my $5,000 or $2,000
Yeah.
deductible is met.
Mhm.
I might as well go see somebody holistically and pay $1 a minute and save
Yeah.
myself money, get more treatment, and get treatment that's geared that I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Love.
Makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Out of the box. Out of the box. I think that's why I left nursing. I went for like I knew I wanted to make changes, and that was going to be like little micro, and I couldn't make the changes that I wanted to make overall in healthcare and the actual system itself, because I don't like the way we address mental health and honestly healthcare in general, the structures of them. And
Yeah.
so that kind of was like, okay, I need to go to the macro. So we actually go to like how these are actually built and how we rebuild them so they actually support all people. Yeah. So, but we are running actually out of time as usual. No surprise there. But it was great, John and Willow, having you both on. We would love to
Yeah.
have you on again. Like when you start adding in some more of these services and so forth, Willow, if you want to come back so that we can discuss them further. And Jenni, if you get involved, maybe you could add like your little ad lib points into what you've learned.
Y'all, this has changed my life tonight. I've been in a funky place. So
Yay!
I'm very, very grateful for
She
this.
has. She has. Like all weekend, I've been like,
It's
are
been
we
funky.
okay?
It's been rough, and
I'm telling
I
you,
always know
Reiki
I'm gonna be
sessions with John, that would be a first good experience with a spiritual session but once we're open to it. Because if you're not
Right.
open to it, you won't
Yep.
get the same experience.
Right.
I
Yes.
am more open to things that tap more into what I do believe are science-based, things that are energy-based, and things that where we go, well, we know that we understand the law of conservation of energy. When it becomes anything that has to do with a deity, I'm out. I'm like, I'm good.
Yep, and that's fine. We have so much more than that.
She and I are both kind of like, when you start putting it into a structure, like, nope, you've lost us, we're out. Nope, you put a label on it, we're done.
Well,
My coach today was just like, that's a trigger. He's like, that's a trigger we need to work on. I was like,
now I have
it really
done
isn't.
sound therapy. I did a sound therapy session years ago whenever I was trying to quit drinking, and incredible, really incredible. I was drunk, but I do remember it was incredible.
Yeah, and ice baths are great for recovery from.
There is no way. No.
You know how
You don't
many
like the
people
ice
say
bath?
that, and then they have, because I was doing it when I was working at a residential treatment center. I had them doing it, and so many of my friends were like, no, and then they did it, and they were like, oh my gosh,
I am one of those people. It's the addict in me. I am willing to try anything once. But I am super like even the water in the shower getting below a certain temperature, I'm instantly uncomfortable. But what the heck? Maybe
it helps you learn how to regulate your nervous system.
I definitely need help with that.
It does that big time, because when you get in that ice, everything in there says flee.
Right.
And you force yourself to stay in there by regulating your nervous system. And I had
someone I dated who was a physical therapist that he would take ice baths. Like, he at first did it because his brother and he were going to do like a polar challenge. And so he was trying to work up to this cold temp, right? And the more he did it as a physical therapist, like he also pushed himself like to learn, like he already hiked like ridiculous, would go out for 10 days in the Rockies with no phone, no map. Jeez. And hope that he made it back. Like, there were 1 or 2 trips and he would email me back and be like, okay, that one out. There were a couple of moments there that was a little scary. And then the last time I talked to him, he was starting to do like the rock climbing, like the Tom Cruise, put chalk on your hands. And no, sorry, I'm not looking for that much challenge. But he was doing these ice baths like weekly. And I remember he called me, that was a fantastic ice bath. And I'm like, good for you. Like and it would be like every Friday for 20 minutes, I just got out of my ice bath. And then it was like, and then he started moving to an hour.
Wait, that's way too long. I know
it was. It was way too long. And I was just like,
11 minutes a week, no more than 5 minutes.
11 minutes a week.
He got it to an hour. He got it to an hour.
Virtually?
He does it an hour a week.
Go buy a bag of ice and put it in my tub?
Virtually.
Well, obviously not naked.
I mean, you're not going to get the same experience, but
right,
probably.
So I'm going to have to come to Florida to get in a bowl of ice,
or fly me up there.
I feel like I can do this in my bath. Just tell me what to do.
Let me teach you how first, though.
There you go. There you go.
Baby steps.
I could do it virtually with you. I would have to show you where to buy the tub, and then teach you how much ice to get and stuff.
I'm poor. Is there a cheap way to do this, or I'm out? I thought I was just going to buy bags of ice and throw them in my bathtub. Why does that not work?
You got to have a lot of ice too. Mm-hmm. Got to be down to like between 45, 50 degrees.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The horror.
No.
Okay.
I came out like in my hallway the other day. It was 69 degrees, and I didn't like that. Like 45,
Yeah.
50 degrees in water. No,
Listen, the
no.
first time I did it, I felt like I was on top of the world. And I was playing pool at the time because I used to play APA pool. I went to my match that day, after I did it, and I shot like a champ. I mean, I was sharp, my vision. I'm telling you, it is so beneficial for the body, for the mind, for the nervous system. It reduces inflammation.
Yep.
Look up Wim Hof, and you'll see. I mean, it's I use a breathing technique, and I teach you breathing techniques to help you regulate your nervous system to get through the bath. And after 30 seconds to anywhere between 30 to 90 seconds, our nervous system will regulate. We just have to give ourselves time. It doesn't matter what the trauma is, whether it's an ice bath or a bear running at you, whatever the trauma is. Once that bear's done running at you, of course, it's coming, it's still, but once you give yourself 30 to 90 seconds, not minutes, and you'll get through that, response, and you'll be able to regulate the nervous system.
Why am I?
He said he
interested in this?
definitely said that like his biking time, his running times, his swimming times, all of
It's
it improved
amazing.
when he started doing his ice baths. Like
It's
every
like-
single, and he was a triathlete. Like he had lived in Hawaii for 15 years and did the like where you carry the rocks underwater, and the biking and the running and the swimming, like the ridiculous 40-mile triathlons. Like this is what this guy did all the time. But he was like taking the ice baths. I improved every single bit of one of those. He was like, and that was after I left Hawaii. He was like, if I had still been doing the ice baths, I would have been coming in first. And I was just kind of like, just the fact that you did them, was that not enough? Like
Yeah,
carrying
you wanna
rocks under
do-
the ocean, is that not enough?
Yeah,
Right.
make sure you get trained in how to do them appropriately, because there are.
Okay.
Yes.
I definitely won't
contradictions
just go
and stuff.
get some bags of ice tonight. And
No,
decide to
don't do
this
that.
morning.
Don't do
Okay.
that. Let
Okay.
us teach you.
I wasn't even thinking of that.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Excellent.
Thank you, Lisa.
And yeah, so that I think is about it. And let me throw this up one more time for y'all. If you are looking for where to find Willow and John, anything that we talked about tonight, just about can be found at holistichippie.vibes.com. If you missed this and you still can't find it, you can always reach out to me and I will be happy to send you their way. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, holistichippie.vibes.com. If you're listening to us on Spotify, it's Holistic Hippie, HIPPIE, vibes.com. Just in case that's, and I'm going to put when I put it on Spotify, I will put your actual, like I'll post the actual link to this as well. So that if people are listening to it and just hearing it, they know where to go to find you as well. But we appreciate y'all coming on so much. And again, when you get some of these other things going, Jenny, if you participate, we can always have you come in and give us your experience.
This is
Maybe
going
some of
we
these
can get her
therapies.
to do an ice bath live on the show.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I am that kind of freak. Yes.
All
I was
so
gonna say
we'll
that
do a
would be enough. That would be
pre-session
enough
where
for
I
her to go,
coach
oh, I'll do
you.
it now.
I'll do it.
Guinea
now.
pig
Yeah,
me.
we'll do a pre-session where I coach you how to do it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then have you do your first one live.
Oh, that's a terrifying prospect, and something I'd love the terrifying prospect of it.
I was gonna say she likes the
I am
challenge.
anticipating the dopamine already.
I love it.
There you go.
I love it.
There you go. There you go. All right,
Such a
guys.
dopamine seeker. Okay, we love you.
This has been
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Thank you
you.
so much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
We
I
were
can't wait to
so
read your
glad to
book,
have
John.
both of you. Yes, and I will send you, if you can't find it, Jenny, I can send you
I'll find
the
it.
link for it.
I'm
I
amazing.
figured.
He's like, love.
I figured. You are.
Love and
You
love.
are.
Thank you so much again.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're happy to have y'all on next time. And again, like I said, anytime that y'all have questions for us
I
or
do
you
that
have more
right?
information you want to share,
do that right.
can we do this?
Can you tell
I
I
don't
work
know.
with teenagers?
I did
They
this-
taught me how to do it. That's why I had to do it, to show the teenagers I got you.
Okay. See, I can
This
do
is a
it. I
lot.
can do it from my side. Like, but from the, see, from the other side, it doesn't like a heart, but from mine, it does. But my kid the other night was like, do this, mom, make a heart. And my trans kid. And so he's like, me and his brother are like trying to make hearts. And he's like, your thumbs are flat. That's not what a heart looks like. And I'm like, but from my end, like when I'm looking at it, it looks like a heart. But from the side they were seeing, it didn't look like a heart. And I was like, you're just too picky. Go. It's a heart. Just
How about that?
the sentiment is there, okay, kid? And this is
Right,
what we're talking
take
about
it.
with 20-year-olds,
Take it.
right? Right? They just love to give you a hard time.
Does. I'm doing good too. I think. I don't even know if I'm using the right fingers.
Yeah,
It looks like a heart.
Right?
That's what matters.
That's what it's supposed to. That's what matters. And it looks like a heart. All right, guys.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much
Love
for
and
coming.
kisses.
We will see y'all next week. I don't know what our topic is exactly yet. I will say Dr. Diana is going to be on in 2 weeks to talk about her book that it will have just been released when she comes out, and she'll be talking about the second book that is on its way of being released. So join us for Dr. Diana Sorrentino in 2 weeks.
Hey, so
I see a
next
question.
week, is that going
Mhm.
to be the week before?
It's before
No, 'cause that'll be
she's
the
released.
27th. Okay, never mind. Okay,
What?
27th.
What?
I gotta come up with something. You know what? I had just done a TikTok on really just trying to like figure out how to like walk through like I know we're not getting political, but walking through political things like with some grace and some chill.
We can do that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, election is rolling around, so we can do that next week.
And it's a stressful time for a lot of people, regardless of where you stand. It can be a stressful thing. And, I have no nervous system regulation yet. None. None.
We're going to work on that this week.
I'm working on learning how to regulate my nervous system.
I'm working on this. I'm not.
Always be gentle with yourself.
Okay.
Grace.
I want to learn. I would
Grace.
prefer to work on that. Grace and space. Okay, love y'all. Smooches.
Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Toodles.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.